this video that we're going to start with is another press conference. You might be able to make him out right there. Our favorite alcoholic, you know, like making women uncomfortable. Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreth, is about to come up here and I'm sure not be unhinged at all. Um, so we're just gonna watch him. I think this was when was this published? Streamed live 9 hours ago, it says. Um, so this is pretty recent, and so I guess this is after Iran's response to Israel bombing Iran's oil facilities or whatever. I'm assuming they have that information that Iran hit Qatar and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see what he has to say. Like I said, I'm sure it won't be unhinged at all. So this is live. Pete Hegseth holds Pentagon briefing as war with Iran intensifies. It is not actually live. This was 9 hours ago, but let's go ahead and see what he has to say. Oh, as usual. Okay.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Yesterday at Dover Air Force Base, President Trump, the chairman, and I stood in solemn silence as heroes came home. Flag-draped caskets, we honored them. We grieved with their families, and we listened. What I heard through tears, through hugs, through strength, and through unbreakable resolve was the same from family after family. They said, finish this.
Okay. Even maybe they did. I'm not going to say they didn't. Maybe they actually said that. They are grieving. They are in grief. And you shouldn't be like making decisions on how many more people you want to send into the meat grinder and how many more American soldiers you want to kill based on or you want to go send off to die or whatever based on that. You shouldn't be basing that off of grieving widows and grieving mothers or whatever, because of course they're going to want, they don't want it to just be senseless, and they don't want it to be they don't want to just admit that their kids died as pawns of Israel or whatever. Yeah, of course they don't want to admit that. But also, I don't even know if that's true as well, because these people lie like they breathe. So
honor their sacrifice. Do not waver. Do not stop until the job is done. My response, along with that of the president, was simple. Of course, we will finish this. We will honor their sacrifice.
How?
Their sacrifice only steals our commitment.
What does define finish? When does that happen? Can you explain the end game, please?
I wear this bracelet. Staff Sergeant Jorge Oliveira, he was one of my sergeants, or one of my specialists in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, God.
He deployed later to Afghanistan, where he was killed on 19 October 2011. Killed 10 years after 9/11, 15 years ago. He was one of the 1%, the best of America. Not just a guardsman, but a law enforcement officer back home, and a family man. I remember him every day, just like so many other men and women of our generation and previous generations who wear bracelets like this.
If you actually cared, you wouldn't just keep making the same fucking mistakes over and over again, sending all these people to go die over and over again. We live in fucking purgatory. They always you need to learn from your mistakes and stop doing this. And you can't say that you care for these people if you're just going to send them into a meat grinder with no strategic objectives and no way to achieve those strategic objectives. I still don't understand when they're going, what they're going to declare as victory. I don't get it. I really don't. I literally do not understand what they're trying to say is when we will be done. They haven't outlined what that's supposed to look like. So this literally just at least in previous wars, they pretended they gave some sort of goals that they were trying to achieve. This one is we're just going to obliterate them until they can't pose a threat anymore. It's that's not specific. That just means you're just going to keep going until you decide you're I don't know. Whatever.
Just as we will always remember those
already pissed off,
lost
of course.
in this conflict.
Classic.
Their names are now etched into our mission and into the soul of a grateful nation. I stand here today speaking to you, the American people, not through filters, not through reporters, not
You could use a filter if you know what I'm saying.
through cable news spin. A dishonest and anti-Trump press will stop at nothing. We know this at this point.
Great
To
sign.
downplay-
The great sign that everything's going well, attacking the media and saying they're all lying about how terrible it is. Like, yeah, that's always a great sign that the war is growing. Perfect.
Progress, amplify every cost, and call into question every step. Sadly, TDS is in their DNA. They want President Trump to fail. But
I've said this before, but the media wants them to succeed, actually. The media is very much on their side for wanting us to go to war with Iran and wanting this whole operation to succeed and destabilizing or destroying Iran. They are on his side. It's just they put the bare minimum out there that they are trying to make themselves seem like they're objective, and even that is too much for them. I would love it. I would love if the FCC or whatever just starts banning news news organizations or whatever. I guess I wouldn't love it because they do some good reporting, but it just I think it would go to show that the more that you capitulate to these people does not make you safer or whatever. They need to realize that. The news organizations do,
You, the American people, know better. Yes, there are reporters in front of me, but they are not our audience today. It's you, the good, decent, patriotic American people. You, the hardworking,
the one true patriot,
tax-paying,
technically
God-fearing American patriots.
Hey.
The media here, not all of it, but much of it, wants you to think just 19 days into this conflict that we're somehow spinning toward an endless abyss or a forever war.
It sure feels that way.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You always say that, and I just don't buy it because, okay, when's it going to end? Under what conditions is it going to end? Tell me.
Hear it from me, one of hundreds of thousands who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, who watched previous foolish politicians like Bush, Obama, and Biden squander American credibility. This is not those wars.
Sure feels like it.
President Trump knows better. Epic Fury is different.
Epic Fortnite.
It's laser focused. It's decisive. Our objectives, given directly from our America First president, remain exactly what they were on day one.
Okay,
These are not the media's objectives.
Tell me what the objectives are.
Iran's objectives, not new objectives.
Let's hear
our objectives. Unchanged.
Ooh, that sounded like a slur.
On target.
He slurred his voice a little there.
And on plan. Destroy missiles, launchers, and Iran's defense industrial base so they cannot rebuild. Destroy them.
Well, that's impossible. That last part's impossible. That's just impossible. So they're going to be able to rebuild. They're still, I think, producing missiles and drones as we speak right now.
Navy and Iran never gets a nuclear weapon.
They destroyed the Navy. Iran didn't want a nuclear weapon, but now they do. Or now they probably will. So all of those. Okay, the first one was impossible. The second one, good for you. You got the most notorious navy that has ever existed on the high seas, Iran. They're yeah, okay, congrats. And then number 3, I already forgot what it was, but the never gain a nuke. Yeah, they're probably going to go for a nuke now. So that one's not going to happen. That one's kind of backwards. You did the opposite of what you should do if you wanted that to happen. So again, I don't know how you when are you going to declare victory? If you're going to keep bombing their missile sites indefinitely, that still feels like a forever war.
Our objectives from day one. To the patriotic members of the press, nobody can deliver perfection in wartime. This building knows that more than anyone. But report the reality. We're winning decisively.
No, report your reality. Report my reality is what he means.
And on our terms. Iran is a vast country, and just like Hamas and their tunnels, they've poured any aid, any economic development, humanitarian aid into tunnels and rockets. That's what they did with Hamas.
Good
Iran
strategy.
has funneled decades of state resources, not to their people, but into missiles and drones and proxies.
It's paying off right now.
And buried facilities. But we are hunting them down.
Yeah, because if they hadn't done that, if they hadn't poured all that money into these defenses, then like we would have done this a long time ago. Like the only reason we didn't do this like 10, 20 years ago is because they were spending all of their money on on a defense industry that would then be able to protect them or project power in the case of this exact situation.
Methodically, ruthlessly, and overwhelmingly, like no other military in the world can do. And the results speak for themselves. Today,
they do. They really do. I think an F-35 was recently downed, by the shitty ass Iranian like air defenses or whatever, which I thought we had air superiority. That does speak for itself. That really does.
Struck over 7,000 targets across Iran and its military infrastructure.
Congrats.
That is not incremental. That is overwhelming force applied with precision. And again today.
Then why are the amount of missiles that they're shooting going up right now? Like why are the amount of missiles they're shooting going up? Like they want to live in an alternate reality. Iran missile strike rate over time. Let's see if we can find an image. Here, this is the one that I saw earlier. If I can pull it up. Oh, look, it's an X, the Everything app. This is what it looks like. This is how the strikes have been going. Red is ballistic missiles, green is drone strikes. You'll see that, it started off really high, fire and fury, right? It started off with all your drones or whatever, or like to make a big impact. Then it went down pretty high, and over the past week or week and a half or so, it's been slowly ticking up. The drone strikes, not the missile strikes. So clearly if our goal is to make this thing keep going down, then we're failing. we just are. Objectively, we're failing. If that's one of the goals, which he said it was, then we're failing.
Will be the largest strike package yet, just like yesterday was. As I've said from day one, our capabilities continue to build. Iran's continue to degrade.
Not from that graph.
And striking death and destruction from above. Iran's air defenses flattened.
Iran. I don't know if that was before the F-35 went down or after, but clearly not. Clearly their air defenses are still at least somewhat working. And I thought that their air defenses kind of sucked, to be honest. I thought they were pretty shitty. So the fact that they got an F-35 at all is like insane.
Iran's defense industrial base, the factories, the production lines that feed their missile and drone programs being overwhelmingly destroyed. Mm-hmm. We've hit hundreds of their defense industrial bases directly. Their ability to manufacture new ballistic missiles has probably taken the hardest hit of all. Ballistic missile attacks against our forces, down 90% since the start of the conflict. Same with one-way attack UAVs. Think kamikaze drones, down 90%. Now, the Iranians will still shoot, we know that, but they would shoot a lot more if they could, but they can't.
But here's the thing. I keep saying it's impossible to get that number down to zero. So when are you going to say that you've achieved your goal? That you can't, like, is it going to be when they're shooting like 10 a day, 5 a day, like 8 a day? Like, I don't understand the difference between now and some future state in terms of your strategic objectives that you laid out at the beginning.
The last job anyone in the world wants right now? Senior leader for the IRGC or Besiege. Temp jobs. All of them.
Dude, they're so fucking lame.
And to borrow a page from Admiral Ernest King in World War II, we've decided to share the ocean with Iran. We've given them the bottom half.
What?
We've damaged.
God, they're so lame. I can't take it. I hate how lame they are. Like these are this is the face. This is the face of American imperial decline right here. This face is like when people look back in history, they will look back at this face and be like, this is the person. This is the person who made us look weaker than we ever have, who completely destroyed American force projection across the world, who like nobody ever took seriously. Like it's literally like a fucking SNL skit, dude. Ugh, bargain bin Andy Richter over here.
Just sunk over 120
sucks.
of their Navy ships, with battle damage assessments pending for many more. See, oftentimes we have to wait a few days on battle damage assessment to get the real number. Their surface fleet is no longer a factor. Their submarines, they once had 11, are gone. Their military ports are crippled.
Who cares?
Iran has terrorized.
The reason that I keep saying who cares about their Navy is because they're not known for their Navy. Their Navy isn't the thing that they're known for. And like, I don't think that they're... I don't even know if Iran cares that much if you get their ships. But it's just the missiles and the drones. That's the only thing that really matters here.
The United States and our interests for 47 years. Their core industries, not steel or agriculture, or tourism. Their core industries are state-sponsored terrorism, proxy militias, underground networks, ballistic missiles, and a violent, messianic, Islamist ideology chasing some sort of apocalyptic endgame.
Not unlike us. Not unlike us Americans who, I can't remember what percentage it is, but at least like 50%, I think, are Christian Zionists. They don't believe in a messianic vision of apocalypse or whatever that about bringing on the end times. Like, no, I'm sure.
A regime like that, refusing to abandon its nuclear ambitions, is not just a regional problem. It's a direct threat to America, to freedom, and to civilization. The world, the Middle East, our ungrateful allies in Europe, even segments of our own press should be saying one thing to President Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, good sir.
Thank you for the courage to stop this terror state from...
Oh God. Okay. This is so pathetic. Like, the fuck are we doing, man? Put me in there, coach. Come on. I can pretend better than I can pretend better than this guy to be like a military dude up there. I swear I can.
Holding the world hostage with missiles while building or attempting to build a nuclear bomb. Thank you for doing the work of the free world. Yesterday's ceremony reminded us why we fight. Not for nation building or democracy promotion, but to crush direct threats to America, Americans, and our interests.
This is where he's got it wrong, dude. The reason you have it backwards. They weren't those wars that Bush did or whatever. They didn't like actually want to do nation building, or they didn't actually want to implement democracy in the Middle East. They wanted to take their resources. They used those narratives as a way to get the American public on board. Like the things that you're complaining about are the things you should have done if you wanted the American populace to be on board with this. And because you didn't, they're not. And so, like, I don't know. Like, I think that the Bush strategy probably was a little bit better because they at least could last like a few years before the polling got so bad that they had to, like, you know, just stop talking about it. I don't know if you guys will last a few months.
We fight to win, and we are winning. Mm-hmm. On our terms, following our objectives. My 13-year-old son popped into my office last night while I was editing these remarks. God. He asked about the war.
Did he? Oh, okay. Did he ask? And I think I know what he's going to say because I feel like I heard this exact same story back in Iraq.
And the families I met at Dover. And I looked at him and I said, they died for you, son.
Yep.
So that your generation doesn't have to deal with a nuclear Iran.
Yep. Same story every single time. We do it over and over again. We live in hell. This is purgatory, and this is the sleep paralysis demon that keeps us company.
It's the truth. And they did. So to the families who said, finish this, We will.
Finish this.
And I say the same to every American who wants peace through strength. May Almighty God continue to bless
Allah.
our troops in this fight.
May Allah
And
bless
again,
our
to the
troops.
American people, please pray for them.
Something tells me God's not going to be helping us too much in this one. Sorry, bud. Just like God abandoned us in Afghanistan and Iraq and Vietnam and Korea, I think that God is probably not going to be on our side with this one either.
Every day, on bended knee, with your family, in your schools, in your churches, in the name of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
To the troops,
we must bomb Jesus' homeland in the name of Jesus Christ.
keep going. And Godspeed. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
God. Every time, man, it is just like it is amazing to watch. He probably is the best content. I think that Pete Kegsbreth is the best content in terms of press conferences, even better than Trump, because he is so absurd. He is like bizarro world. You could picture a comedy show written with him as a character. And it's I don't know. I can't help but laugh every single time, but also get really pissed off, obviously.
And
But
I'll
that's
turn it back over to
my
you,
natural
sir.
state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I always skip whoever the fucking serious person is, because they're not usually very good content. So let's see what Kegsbreth has to say. I'm assuming he's going to answer some questions here.
Take a couple questions.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Given the updated degradation and strike target numbers you laid out, how close would you say we are towards
Good question. Good
achieving
question.
the president's
That's what I asked.
objectives? And what is the end game of the operation without divulging any sensitive battle plans?
Well, we wouldn't want to set a definitive time frame on that, but as we've said, we're on plan. So we're looking at those metrics very closely, relaying that to the president and the national security team, but feel confident that again, we're more stand in means we're over the top, even further in, and we have even more of an exact sense of what we're striking and why, and even more dynamically, meaning because the intelligence improves, we're able to more quickly identify targets when let's say they come out of an underground facility where they've been hiding, and able to strike it before it strikes or right after it shoots. But we're very much on plan, and that's why I want to speak to the American people here. You hear a lot of noise about widening or new missions or speculation about what we should or should not be doing. This is a clear set of objectives. The president has given us every capability we need to accomplish that. We've got the best in the world in uniform executing it on the ground. They believe in and are invested in this mission, and it will be at the president's choosing, ultimately, where we say, hey, we've achieved what we need to on behalf of the American people to ensure our security. So no time set on that, but we're very much on track.
Okay. But so what happens after that, though? So let's say that you finally get all of those, all the missile interceptors you wanted to get, and all of the drones or whatever, all the trucks that are launching the missiles, all that sort of stuff that you feel ready to say, okay, we're done. What if Iran says no? I hope somebody asked that question, because what if Iran says, nah, we're going to keep going? Because I'm going to be honest, that's kind of what it feels like right now. It feels like you guys are ready to say we're done, but Iran is saying, nah, we're going to keep going. And the reporting is that Iran hasn't even reached out for any sort of talks with these people. And also, there's also been reporting that we have been reaching out to Iran for trying to get in communication to find some sort of ceasefire deal. So I don't know. I think that what's going to happen is, I think what's already happened is they're ready to be done, but they can't just tuck tail and run, because it would look incredibly weak for the American military to do that. But Iran is not ready to be done yet, and so they're just going to keep firing until they increase the cost so high that we have to meet some sort of concession for them.
Track. Absolutely. Yes, right here.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary. David Zier, Real America's Voice News. What countries have been the most cooperative with us, including the Gulf states,
Ooh,
as
let's
your
rank 'em.
hedges? And I also wanted to ask you, the internet blackouts by the regime, it's been shut down for weeks. Is the U.S. military playing a role in, fighting against the regime, blocking VPN networks and satellites and other things? Is there a role for the U.S. military there?
I don't know what he's trying to say on that last part, but Iran always shuts off their military every single time one of these they start getting attacked. They're just trying to create a secure information environment or whatever, like a hermetically sealed one or whatever. Um, so I don't really know what he's talking about. Is America gonna get involved in that or whatever? Maybe he's saying is America going to like help them get internet access like through Starlink or something? I'm not really sure.
Um, Obviously, on the allies and partners side,
Oh yeah, this is what I want though. I want a tier list. I want a Kegsbreth tier list of who the best allies are and who the worst allies are. Who's in S tier and who's in F tier? Kegsbreth, please tell me.
Israel from day one has been an incredible
Israel,
and capable partner.
I forgot. Sorry, I forgot Israel was was in the competition. So Israel is obviously S tier. Every other country is F tier, including our own country, even including the United States is F tier. Israel is the only ally. Israel is the only country.
Willing and able. There's nothing like capabilities and partners that are able to use them. The Gulf states have stepped up incredibly. In fact, Iran's sort of reckless attempt to strike civilian infrastructure and other things has brought countries who maybe would have not been as all in as they are today squarely into our orbit. And we're proud to be defending with them, standing with them, you name it. UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and others who have been right there. And we're grateful for that kind of support. As far as the internet, we're watching the regime try to tighten its grip as much as possible. And we're obviously taking countermeasures, many of which we can't talk about here, to ensure that messaging is delivered, not just to the Iranian people writ large, but to the right audiences, certain audiences that need to hear certain things about what their fate might look like or what their choices are. So even though that regime is trying really...
He's being very obtuse. So either he's talking about, trying to stir up some sort of like find some sort of group to to fund or arm or something to like try and rise up or whatever, or he's talking about like communicating specifically with the Iranian leadership or whatever. I don't really know.
Really hard to ensure the world can't see, right? They want to put out fake AI generated images, which by the way sometimes our press happens to fall for, like the Abraham Lincoln on fire and turning around. These AI generated images are meant to make it look like something's happening when the exact opposite is. So they make...
You're too online, dude. You're way too online to be doing this. You cannot be talking about memes or whatever. Like you can't be like posting videos of like, I don't know, Call of Duty and shit. Like they're way too online. You're so unserious. Nobody thinks you're serious, dude.
Up fake reports and fake images to lie to their own people to try to make it. But even then, their own people can barely receive a lot of those messages and communicate because of the blackout that they've imposed upon them. But we work around that for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. General, overnight, Iran launched missiles across the Gulf. They managed to hit the Saudi oil refinery on the Red Sea. What does it mean that they have that capability now, 3 weeks into the war? And Mr. Secretary, you mentioned civilian infrastructure. Iran seems to be treating U.S. diplomatic outposts, embassies, consulates like they are legitimate hard targets in the region now. What is the Pentagon doing to, I guess, secure those assets, stop those attacks?
Absolutely.
Thanks for the question on the missile strikes. You know, as we said and have always said clearly, they came into this fight with a lot of weapons. This is why we continue to be as aggressive and assertive as we can against their ballistic missile capability, both their medium-range ballistic missile capability and their short-range missile capability. So we are continuing to hunt and find them and kill them, and we will continue to do so. So they still retain some capability. And we have layered defenses throughout the region that will allow us to protect those. And we're working with our partners across the Gulf region to help them improve any defensive capabilities that they may need.
To that point,
Iran's been getting that's a kind of weird thing to say, I guess, because Iran has been getting more and more through as a percentage of what they're shooting. So it's kind of like it feels like Iran is getting more accurate over time, especially since they started using their newer sort of stockpiles or whatever. And I don't know. They said that they're in it for the long haul, but whatever.
On capabilities. Iran's an energy-rich country, could be, should be. Instead, like so many other places driven by a radical ideology, they've spent that money instead of investing in their people. And that's why you had millions of Iranians protesting.
That's woke. That's woke. Hey, Pete Kegsbreth, I want you to look in the mirror right now because I know another country. I know another country that spends trillions of dollars on war materials and Navy assets and F-35s and air forces and the Army. I know a country that spends trillions of dollars on that. And doesn't spend any fucking money at all on the people that live there. And like I said, just look in the mirror. Like America does not spend a single, like all of that money would be better spent on the American people. And that's one of the reasons that people voted for Trump. That's literally one of the reasons that they voted for him. And so like the hypocrisy here, like I know hypocrisy doesn't matter or whatever, but like that you would just like say all this shit about Iran while also waging an incredibly unpopular war where people want all of that money to be spent here at home is like insane to me.
They felt like their condition quality of life didn't match what it could be or should be. And what was the Iranian state? There's a reason we call Iran the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, because they took the money they make and they invest it in tunnels. And they invested in missiles, and they invested in launchers and UAVs, and we are destroying and degrading that in historic proportions. But it doesn't mean they won't still have some and try to hold people at issue, which is why we're fighting every single day to continue to compel. And you mentioned embassies and consulates. Unlike previous administrations, we are doubling and tripling down on ensuring that our people, regardless of their Department of War, Department of State, whatever they do, are secure in those facilities. And the best defense is a good offense. And so we're not afraid to go after and kill anybody, and we have a lot of them attempting to target our diplomatic facilities. Iran, we're not surprised that they would indiscriminately target, and we're still seeing that. But Jerry.
Okay. I guess I got nothing to say on that one.
As part of the justification for the war against Iran, the White House has laid out in fairly comprehensive fashion the Iranian regime's 47 years of terrorism aimed at the U.S., including pointing to the IRGC's provision of weapons and EFPs to help kill Americans in Iraq. The Pentagon in 2019 assessed Iran was responsible for the deaths of at least 603 service members in Iraq, but there hasn't been a similar public accounting by Iran's role helping the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Oh my God.
And that also hasn't been part of the White House's public argument. I was wondering if you could...
Oh my God. Okay. Supporting a country like that is at war is not like... They are not responsible for those deaths. Like that's like saying America is responsible for every Russian death that has occurred in the Ukraine or whatever. Like, and therefore Russia has like a right to start like launching firebombs at like America, or like firebombing America. Like that's just not how it works, man.
Speak to Iran's role in
This is a stupid
helping
question. This is a stupid question. I'm sorry. I'm gonna move on. Give me another question. Oh my God, do they keep talking? Sorry.
Not who's right, and to be clinical around the way we look at lessons learned, because we owe it to the force to do that. Thanks for that question.
Absolutely. Brown jacket at the back.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Jonathan Dre with Roca Politics. As you said, at the end of this war, Iran will be without a missile or drone capability, a navy, or the ability to make
Not a
nuclear
single
weapons.
drone.
Since the largest threat and sponsor of terror in the region will be incapacitated, are there plans to move assets and troops out of the Middle East? I guess in a perfect world, a year after the war has ended, what does the military...
This little spring chicken, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. No, there's going to be more troops and more bases in the Middle East after this. Like if we actually did get rid of degrade Iran that much or whatever, there would be even more people in the Middle East. That's so funny that he thought we would actually take our troops back out of the Middle East if we actually accomplished some. No.
military presence in the
Silly.
Middle East look like compared to before the war?
Well, I appreciate the question. I do think when you address a real threat head on, it creates new options on the other side. Right? I think what President Trump refuses to do, which too often this town does, is just sit in the status quo. Oh, nobody can do about that. They've got too much capability.
That's true.
What if this happens? What if that happens? He instead says, what's in the interest of the American people? It's going to take some courage. It's going to take some capabilities. We're going to have to
not this.
gather some forces there in order to do it. We're not going to tell people how many or how long or what we're willing to do or what we're not willing to do.
No,
but if you do that,
okay, but no administration has ever done that. That's just normal like BS-ery that happens like during any war.
And do that decisively. Then out the other end is a recognition that it opens the aperture of what's possible. I mean, President Trump did
the opening the aperture at the other end is making me think of something else.
Did the same thing in creating an opportunity for the Abraham Accords. Now you've got a situation where a lot of those countries are coming alongside us, recognizing the threat of Iran. So I think our posture in the future will be based first and foremost on our own national security, power projection, the ability to defend our people and our interests. But no doubt, working alongside our partners.
Okay.
The president.
So does anybody remember how the Abraham Accords were like Saudi Arabia was going to normalize with Israel or whatever? Do you guys remember that? That was pre-October 7th. That was a big deal. It was probably actually going to happen. And then October 7th happened. And then throughout the entire like genocide in Gaza, these people kept saying, like kept leaking stuff to the media about how, oh yeah, actually Saudi Arabia is really ready. Like as soon as this war, as soon as it's over, like Saudi Arabia is gonna join the Abraham Accords. And now they're doing the same shit here. And the thing is, they're all like, ever since these conflicts have started, which all of this is kind of a continuation from October 7th or whatever, they're all further and further away from the Abraham Accords than they have ever been. Most of them understand, even the leadership kind of understands that Israel and America are the main forces that are destabilizing the region. And everything that we're doing here is, I think, leading them all to be like, maybe we should start like finding other people to counterbalance our dependence on America, because number one, it doesn't seem like they can even defend us. Like the Gulf states probably think it feels like they can't even defend us, like for having these bases on our soil or whatever, which was part of the deal. But then also, like there's like they have to understand Israel's belligerence at this point. That Israel's not going to just stop. Like Israel's not just going to stop at like Gaza or the West Bank or Lebanon or like, I don't know, fucking Turkey or something. Like they're just going to keep on going, or Jordan, or like they're just going to keep on going until they are stopped. And so like I really think it would, I doubt that anything's going to happen with the Abraham Accords at this time. I think those are like, those are in the dustbin of history. Like that doesn't, Abraham who? Like seriously.
The president will look at what makes the most sense going forward. I appreciate that question. Yes, right here.
War crime, is that the policy of the U.S. military now?
Thank you, Secretary. Next up. Two questions.
He heard war crimes? Not you. You.
Just for you. The Vice President has often emphasized that the goal of this war is to denuclearize Iran while also avoiding a larger quagmire. I know that you touched on this. I'd like you to expand on how do you do that? How do you denuclearize the country while also avoiding this, forever war? And then there was a report last night that the Pentagon asked the White House for $200 billion for Iran war supplemental. Can you confirm this?
This is what I wanted to hear.
Can you explain?
200 billion with a B. 200 billion. That's like our I don't know, like entire public transit system that we just wasted in like 3 weeks.
Why a package this large is necessary?
Well, first of all, none of this would have been possible without Midnight Hammer, without that audacious mission with very clear goals that did obliterate their ability to enrich and the capabilities they have in those facilities. So it created the conditions for Iran to step forward and say, okay, you can reach out and touch us like that in our nuclear ambitions. You can see that we're still trying to do this. Let's make a deal. And
reach out and touch us that should not be in your vocabulary.
And President Trump put our two best folks on it, Steve and Jared, and they worked diligently, earnestly. I watched it to try to pursue that deal. And ultimately, I think the whole time Iran sort of said, well, we'll talk as we build more missiles and as we build more UAVs and we create this conventional umbrella so that if we chose to, we could try to reconstitute the program. And sort of naively thinking that President Trump wouldn't do something about it. And that's why, as Secretary Rubio has said, and I've said, it's the conventional umbrella that was growing and growing.
They're so condescending. And they're just talking about normal-ass deterrence. Like, I don't understand. This is like a normal part of a country's sovereignty is building deterrence. Like I don't know. That's
growing and growing.
A stupid argument.
That was meant to protect that nuclear capability. So you had to address both what happened with Midnight Hammer and what happened with that as well. As far as $200 billion, I think that...
Also, I've said it before and I've said it again, we're not going to have peace in the Middle East until Iran gets a nuclear bomb. And once Iran has a nuclear bomb, we will finally have peace in the Middle East.
Number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future, ensure that our ammunition everything's refilled, and not just refilled, but above and beyond. I mean, President Trump, as he said, rebuilt the military in his first term, didn't think he'd use it as dynamically in his second, but he had. So thank goodness he did that. And an investment like this is meant to say, hey, we'll replace anything that was spent. And now that we're reviving our defense industrial base and rebuilding the arsenal of freedom and cutting deals like our great deputy secretaries here is doing, long lead times on exquisite munitions, we're going to be refilled faster than anyone imagined. And I think, we're also still dealing.
America is not able to produce jack shit, dude. I'm sorry. There's literally no way that they're going to be able to refill these stockpiles within I'd say within the next 5 years. It's going to take at least 5 years, maybe 10 years to try and get our stockpiles of missile interceptors and stuff back up to where they were. And that's assuming that we're not in a forever war that is constantly draining them into the indefinite future, at which point we'll just be, at zero eventually. Because God knows we're going to send every missile interceptor we have over to Israel, and we're not going to keep any for ourselves.
Environment that Joe Biden created. Which was depleting those stockholds and not sending them to our own military, but to Ukraine, which is every time we reach back and look at any sort of a challenge we have.
This is funny, though, because it's like they send them all to Ukraine and then they just go and grab them from Ukraine and move them over to Israel. So it's kind of not that much of a difference if you think of it from America's perspective. Either way, they're being just used at an atrocious rate. It's just, which war do you want to support? The classic question of an overextended empire. Which war do you support?
Back to, send it to Ukraine. Ultimately, we think this should be these munitions are better spent in our own interests at this point.
Better spent on Israel.
And this kind of funding bill is going to ensure that we're properly funded going forward.
Okay, $200 billion. Fuck you. Stop taking my goddamn tax dollars. If a single Democrat votes for this shit, I will literally go out. I won't say what I'll do, actually, but I'll hope that something bad happens to him. So, okay. That's, I think, Kegsbreth. That was a pretty long one. I didn't actually expect to watch that much of it, but it was pretty... I feel like we got a lot of good information from it. Not necessarily from him, but we got to talk about a lot of the main things that are happening.